Go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the governing body, or special meeting and budget workshop of the governing body of the city of Devine. It's the 8th day of September 2022 at 6:01 p.m. We're here at the George S. Woods Community Center. All council members are present except for Flipper, who got stuck at work and wasn't able to make it tonight. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and move on to item 2. This is gonna go ahead. It's just a call for a public hearing on the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2022-2023. This is going to be held on September 20th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Like I said, it's actually 6:01 p.m.
Basically, we just need to make a motion to accept that?
No, that's just to see if anybody wants to speak from the public, and if not, then we close it out and move on to the next item.
But do we need to make a motion for that today? Yeah.
Not today.
For
No.
acceptance of the date.
Already it is today.
Yeah, no. September 20th is the date that we have to, when we have the other meeting. Yeah, we have to come back. Today is, like I said, it's just the public hearing portion of it. All right. That's good, right? Nobody signed up or anything?
Yeah, no. Today is for y'all to actually call for the public hearing.
Oh, okay. We do need to, we will have to make a motion to truly call for the public hearing on the 20th. Okay.
So I move on item number 2.
Okay. To call for a public hearing on the 20th of this month at 6
I'll
p.m.
second.
Yes.
We have a motion from David, a second from Debbie. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes. Item 3, calling for a public hearing on the proposed tax rate for the fiscal year 2022 and 2023. This is also to be held on the September 20th, 2022 at 6 p.m. As posted on the notice of public hearing. I guess we just need to make a motion to go ahead and call for that as well, right?
Motion, yes, to call for it,
Motion to
yeah.
Go ahead, so let's put a place on the agenda. All right.
And I move on item number 3.
All right, we have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second from Angela. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes. All right. Item 4, budget workshop. Dora, was I supposed to have announced any of this stuff on the?
No, that's just for y'all.
All right, that's what I was thinking.
That's what Melissa's gonna publish.
That's what I was thinking. I just wanted to make sure that I was correct on that. Mr. Morales, did you want to speak before, during, after?
I'm just trying to get a handle on how
Okay.
this is working. So have council already decided or set a rate that, or is that still being negotiated?
That's going to be the September 20th. However, I'm sure it will be discussed tonight. So I guess if something tickles your fancy and you want to comment, just raise your hand.
Okay, so,
Yeah, they need to get you on the speaker. I'm sorry.
I just had a few questions because I understand that it looks like the rate's going to be moved down about 5 cents. Am I hearing that correctly?
We did consider it, yes.
But when will you guys decide where you're going to set that? And then I guess, how do you decide where you're going to set that? And the reason I'm asking is because I'm just concerned about where that fits in with the city's cash flow needs and how y'all feel things are going to be moving forward.
We'd be happy to address that.
You know, there's so much uncertainty in what things are going to be costing in the next 120 days, next 180 days. And I know everybody's super concerned about being conservative about how this number is set, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was putting a lot of thought into making sure that there was going to be enough cash flow to accomplish the needs that the city sees moving forward. Are y'all really seriously considering dropping it, the rate?
Well, that's what we have moved forwards with as a budget so far. The budget numbers we have in front of us tonight are with the lower rate, the point.
4913.
Yeah, 4913. There we go. Oh, it's here. Okay. At the top, 4913 rate. We were previously at 5298. So yeah. I mean, the reality is that and we did the first night we had, I guess, budget. We did have about 4 people in here, and they were. I mean, they're upset. And the feedback, of course, that I'm getting is that people are upset. And are they really upset with us, or are they upset with the valuations from the county? Well, they're just upset with all of it. And for those people who have the ability to, I understand what your concerns are, right? But I also understand that there's a lot of people who, they're not getting that. If you look at their evaluations over the past, say, 10 years, their properties have doubled, and they probably haven't doubled in income in 10 years.
That is absolutely correct, and I can attest to that. I mean, our top end cash flow is lower than it's been in years, and our evaluation, like everybody else's, is up. But I just want to make sure that the council doesn't paint themselves into a corner because we're all having these budget issues. I know everybody on an individual basis is dealing with the same thing, and I doubt that often people come and say, hey, be careful, but I'm just looking at where we had budgeted calendar year and where we are now and what things are costing and how we're having to adjust. And I just know as a public entity like this, if you do this and then you have to turn around immediately and raise it back, that could be more of a problem than just trying to be very conservative with the spending but keep the rates where it doesn't have to be moved back or adjusted. I know that there's a lot of stuff on the city's plate, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of work coming. I know a lot of that's budgeted, but Corey, you probably know better than anybody at the table how those things can change and how those costs can change and how the city's going to end up paying the difference at the end of the day. So
Absolutely.
I guess I just want to be maybe the only voice that's saying, and believe me, I'm struggling with the same issues that everybody else is. Appraisals are up, cash flow is down, but I don't want to see our city back themselves into a corner where you have to make a bigger adjustment next year than you would like to at one time. Do y'all have a financial advisor that looks at the numbers and tells you or recommends what maybe y'all should look at as far as setting the rate? Is there someone that helps municipalities like this to calculate what they might do?
Well, I mean, we've had a financial advisor in the past. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to go into that story. As far as advising, I mean, everybody's going to just have to make do with less. You know that. We're going to have to make do with less on the city end as well. It's just what it is. And if we have to come back next year and raise the rate, because then that's a case that we'll have to make, or council will have to make to the public next year and say, look, we did cut it to try to help out for the year, but now this year we're going to have to get back in line with what we were the year prior. So, and people can afford to pay extra to the city, the extra 5 cents per 100. Well, I guess we're taking donations. You're more than welcome to pay in, but the reality is that the feedback I'm getting, right, is everybody's just fed up with it. Fed up with the whole thing. Pay more taxes. Like I said, the property valuations some people they've doubled just in the past year, according to them. But I know that in overall, probably know this, in the past 10 years they have, and people aren't making double to be able to afford all of it.
I understand that. I'm in that group.
Yeah. Are they going to get possibly less something? Possibly, but the budget here so far with the way that they've been able to work it at City Hall, we're not really dealing with much less than what we were dealing with a week ago when we were talking about a higher budget. Or I say a week ago, whatever it's been. A week and 10 days ago.
I'd like to make a
Go ahead.
statement if I can. Well, I think we all can understand your cautionary tale in that it's very difficult to go back or to go forward once you've gone back in some instances. And, I think that there needs to be some adjustment to some salaries, some other, items on the budget to where we're comparable with other cities.
Are we
And
not
so
comparable?
I do. That's a great question. I think that we need to have a comparative analysis done, and I don't know if anyone has done that yet. I know that it was initiated and started, but it wasn't completed. And I think that if we look at the numbers through the Texas Municipal League, what their numbers are, and other numbers with other cities, like Hondo, Jordanton, Natalia, they have one position that's doubled, but I think Lytle and then Pearsall. I think if we look along the 35 corridor, since that is our, I don't want to say competitive market, but it's comparable market, and so we'll look at that. But I'm not sure if that would be a question for the personnel at the office that's in charge in comparative analysis, so that way we can compare what the other entities and the other positions are, and we'll look at hopefully structuring the budget to match that in some respect, and also hopefully increase the pay for some of our labor personnel that are out working, to see what is the percentage from the highest end, which is approximately $10,000 difference a year, versus the lowest end, and I'll have to look at the budget on that. But again, I think the mayor will look at that as well, and so and council, so we can have a comparative analysis with the same population count, and then make adjustments from there. And so hopefully, we do, and I appreciate you bringing that up as far as a cautionary tale, because it does happen, and the public may be upset. And I think Mr. Ritchie did bring that point up about the tax rate, and so after giving it some thought, it may be something that we may want to think about, because again, everything's going up. We are going to have to make some quote unquote sacrifices in some areas, and hopefully have a competitive marketplace for jobs. And we have 11 positions that we were told of last meeting that have not been filled. And so the question is why? Why are they not filled? Why do they not stay? And hopefully we've increased the position count. I don't have a recent number yet, but I think that's something that we need to create a unified and a collective, so that way our people will stay.
Well, the turnover thing is huge in every industry. It's quite large, the turnover, and that's a problem in itself.
So Fred, should I mark you down as in favor of either the existing tax rate or a higher tax rate? Paper needs a quote.
I'm just thinking that I think we need to be careful about backing up. So my question would be this: how many other cities of this size are backing up? And in our school and county, have there been adjustments to their rates? And excuse me for not knowing that. I'm just curious.
Speak for this school, I do know that I read in the paper the other day that the county was considering backing up their rate. So, Josh, you wanted to say something?
So, I'm a bit of an extremist here. I want to either no new revenue or max it out so we can really make a lot of change. Where do you stand on this? And we had some very vigorous debate last meeting on that sort of thing and where we can cut. I'm not a huge fan of where we landed, but I understand it. And as Corey pointed out, there's that the county's taking half that, school district's taking a bunch of that, we only get this small chunk. But it's either we stop delivering infrastructure and basic services to folks and go with no new revenue. Because let's face it, we're not going to do a whole lot with no new revenue. We do this middle ground here, we can at least maintain the status quo, which is mediocre at best, because we don't have enough money, or we really jack up the tax rate, and then that at least funds some more movement and modernization in our infrastructure.
So if you leave it where it is at the rate that people have been paying, that increases your revenue a couple hundred?
Where we're at here, yeah. Like 96.
No, if you left the rate where it was at, it increased a couple of hundred. If you went with what we went with, it increased 100.
It would increase it 100.
Basically, approximately. It's not exact, yeah, but
So we're looking for the next 12 months and covering the overhead for the next 12 months. And how much money was left over out of last year's budget?
well, that's we don't have the audited figures. I will know basically by the time this budget cancels or finishes up, but it won't be audited numbers. So right now it's still.
We didn't have much.
We don't have any for the other one. Because the what is spent is still a moving target, because every day we have more salaries go out. This won't be wrapped up until basically the day that we whatever day it is that we have our last meeting to say this is it, right? It won't be wrapped up until basically that day.
You
As
have
far
to
as
amend the budget first, then you have to
Yeah.
adopt the new budget and then set your tax rate.
so once we amend the budget, we'll know that day.
We do have some wiggle room in there, though. I mean, there's city administrator we don't have. We've got 106,000, I think, budgeted for that. When Dora doesn't have to fill out role anymore, she'll be stepping back down to secretary role. We've got those 11 positions not filled. So there is still some wiggle room in the personnel budget, but I mean, it's not a ton.
Well, it's just essentially money that we're not paying out at the moment.
Right.
So that won't show up again until we get to the end of the year when we have the amended budget again, where you're like, well, I didn't pay out that position for 2 months or 2 weeks or whatever it is, and that feeds in.
You're comfortable with making the adjustment, going back, having the cash flow that you need to get through. You know, I just, with my experience in borrowing money and operating, and it's just really hard. You know, if you budget for it and the revenue comes, you can still be very cautious with the money and make sure that you don't spend anything you don't have to spend. But, you know, you don't want to end up like Derby, Texas, where you can't lower your well because you don't have the resources. And, you know, the people of Devine demand high level of service, but they don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a struggle that we have in private business here. You know, how do we deliver the level of service that people would like to have on the budget we're given? So I understand where you guys are. I've just been on the side where you didn't set aside enough money to operate, and then you paint yourselves in a corner. It really becomes a problem for you and for the administration and
tax rate that we kind of agreed on at the 4913, this, and with this budget, we were still able to give our employees 6% raise for those under a certain level, and then the higher level got a 4%, which is still the largest raise our people have had in, I want to say 5 or 6, maybe 8 years. It's been a long time. So we're able to bump them this year, even bringing the tax because of the values that have been assessed.
I have an idea of how much time y'all spend. I've made a couple of council meetings, and the time is huge. The time that y'all invest is huge. So I'm not wanting to second guess the decisions that y'all have made about where you are. I find it, I guess I'm trying to understand how our city's going to operate not having more revenue when every other entity that we deal with is requiring, our own as well, is requiring more. And I know you don't want to add to that, but
we do have more revenue. The question is, you're talking more beyond what we already are getting in this budget.
You know, and I'm not advocating a spending spree. I'm just advocating, make sure you have enough cash flow so that when you need to work on a well, or you need to fix a tank, or you need to, I know Debbie, how unhappy you were with the inability to fix more roads after all of the
Oh, yeah.
gyrations. I saw your frustration, and I thought, well, you know, we have equipment, we have stuff at work that we just desperately want to fix, and we're waiting for the opportunity to generate the revenue to do it. It's stuff that's critical. And, you know, if the folks from Devine are having this continued level of frustration with the service return based on tax, you know, maybe if you tweaked it a little bit and you kept that and just did a few more things after you really were cautious with the everyday operating cost. So that's really all I wanted to make sure that we were being careful with. Because once you back up, it makes it really hard to go forward again. And I didn't think I'd ever find myself saying that, but I know.
I know, I'm kind of speechless.
Yeah, and I know from experience about being backed in a corner and not having what you need to do, what you need to do. So I'm just cautioning, that's all.
Sounds like you recommend we maintain the tax rate.
Well, I think you guys need to do everything you can do to cover cost, to manage costs. Put every effort you can into manage cost. But, you know, if people are used to doing something and you have that flow, and I have to call people all the time and tell them that I have to go up on things, products and services that and I don't like it. I just like you, I don't like it. But many of them say we expect it. We see other things in our business that are 20, 14, 18% more than anticipated, than budgeted. And we wouldn't know why yours wouldn't be too. And so what I don't want is the city to make a special effort to do this, and then it'd be a big problem for you guys. And for, you know, so every effort needs to be made to manage cost. But maybe there could be just a little bit of money left for another street. But
Also going to be paying a private company.
whatever works best. You know, there again, you're the folks that are putting in the time. Just be careful not to paint yourself in a corner. I've done that, and it's no place to be. So just be careful. And I pay taxes here. I have it. You know, this is going to make a difference to me. And believe me, I'm struggling like the rest of you. But I don't want our community to have that added stress and difficulty. I want to try to push through it. All of us are reluctant to, but it's just that's what's in front of us. So I know you're working hard to manage cost, and I don't want to encourage that you change that, but I would sure be cautious about maintaining cash flow. And then just keep working. And then at the end of the year, if there's something less, there's another street for Debbie.
There you go. And every district. We'll see. Well, your advice is greatly appreciated, Mr. Morales. We truly appreciate it, and I think we will definitely take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so on the actual budget itself, was there any questions? I know that they've reworked all of it to bring it down in
I was
line
excited.
with what we had asked for at the last meeting.
They did everything we asked them
So.
to do, and then
Yeah, you now have a net surplus, or projecting net surplus of 222,392.
It could be our first year of a real balanced budget. And our people got raises. Like, I'm kind of thrilled about this. Am I the only one doing the happy dance?
Well, I have bills that I have questions on. Let me know when I'm ready to fire. For the budget, the IT and phone budget.
Is this for current ones? More than welcome to ask. Go ahead.
Okay. So on the office equipment and software maintenance, what's Thomson Reuters?
What page you on?
Page 2.
So we have a copy of that now.
Oh, am I the only one that got a copy?
This is
You're the only one.
this is
Yeah.
specific information
Okay.
Yes, that's the GPS for the police department. No,
Jesus.
that's clear. That's clear, I'm sorry, that's clear, that the police department and the court uses.
Clear.
To identify.
Okay, that's some expensive software.
Are you the only person that has it, Josh?
I requested it last meeting.
He actually requested it.
If we could, if you could share that, so that way we can all be updated and informed, that would be really great.
I'll just forward it right on over to
For
you right now.
door, yeah.
So a question I brought up a little earlier, can we roll together some of these landlines? We have a lot of them, and that's, I want to say 1,200.
I was explaining to you, so,
Some of them I realize we can't, yeah.
yeah, City Hall has the 2804, 2805, and 2806. So when somebody calls on 2804, and let's say someone answers it, and then someone else calls, well, it's just gonna roll to the next line. It just rolls over. Same thing with the police department. Police department has 4403, 4404, and 4405, same thing. We have the three lines, so people call, you know, they can talk to, from the three lines to somebody, to different people.
I'm trying to look for ways we can save some money here because we have duplication in both landlines and cell phones. Can we somehow get down to a forwarding service and cut something out of here? Because we have that first responder network as well for our cell phones so that they keep service, right? So does everyone need to have duplication in comms?
So are you saying that not everybody have the cell phones? Is that what you're saying?
Or we cut some landlines, one or the other. Maybe there's a forwarding service we can get to forward from that single landline number to a mobile device. I'm asking.
So you're wanting, like, for instance, for us just to have the 2804?
Is that an option? Is that a feasible option?
So if more than two people call, or one person calls the city, they get a busy signal?
We've got like 20. Let me look up the bill here. Angela, I just forwarded the email to you that Dora sent me.
Has the question been asked as to how other cities run their systems, possibly? Do we have like something to compare on or two? Josh, do you know?
We have 31 mobile devices. I'm just trying to think of ways we can cut a little bit here.
All the police officers have a cell phone, city cell phone.
Yep, and emergency management.
All public works, all your public works employees have one. And at the airport, and the mayor has one. The city administrator has one, which is vacant, and the city sec.
Do we pause the line when no one's using it? I know it's only $56 a month, but if we could pause that one of those lines,
No, they're not, but we can check into that.
okay, that saves at least $600 a year. So we've got 3 for the city of Devine, 6 for the police department. It's like about 12 that are emergency devices. I guess those go to public works.
Yes.
So you're saying cut how many?
I'm not saying to cut anything. I'm asking what are the emergency device 1 through.
hotspots.
This isn't the hotspot bill. This is emergency device 10, 7, 2.
The person at the hotspot.
Okay, we have
I can show
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 11 hotspots.
Yes. We had more during COVID, but we gave them back. This is your hotspot.
Oh, I know what hotspot is. Why do we need 11?
Because you have right now the wastewater plant uses a hotspot because we can't get internet over there or an animal control. So they're using the hotspot in their office.
Aren't we paying for internet separately for them? Look at my notes here. GAF, WA, SEW, that bill. I assume that was wastewater and sewer.
Can you repeat that?
It's a GAF-WA-SEW.
Oh, that's your general fund, water and sewer.
Those are the funds that it comes
That's
out
the
of.
funds that it comes out of.
Oh, there's actually a bill for that, for AT&T. They don't have water?
How it's split, I think you have, there should be a worksheet on how it's split, the different funds. Rob has one of these for his laptop, because at home he has to, him and Pete, they have to monitor the wells. So they have a hotspot with their laptop.
That's why we have internet for the wells then.
Huh?
That's why we have internet for the wells.
Yeah, they have to be able to read the SCADA, right?
That creates the security concern that requires the firewall and the whatever the AT&T network security services. I don't like that.
Is there a cybersecurity format for these hotspots?
James has, James on all the servers, he has firewall.
So AT&T provides it's a super expensive service, but it is a all-in-one service. They do network defense, firewall, DMZ, all that sort of stuff. Why do we have long distance in 2022?
Yeah, well, like the library, like, whenever they fax for somebody, we'll get charged. Whenever we have to call the police department or us have to call, what is it, the 512 number? That's considered long distance.
We call that on a cell phone.
Exactly. Should be.
There's some
available.
things that they can't.
We do. I use my cell phone when I'm calling like the city engineer, when I'm calling Langford and stuff, because it's just easier for them to call me directly to my phone and talk to them instead of having to come through City Hall and then for them to transfer. But
Right. I mean, all these folks have their own devices, though. So, like the police department has their own. They all have their own cell phones.
Alma has to call a defendant that got a ticket, and they live in Laredo or they live in Austin or another state. They were traveling too. She has to use a landline. She doesn't have a city cell phone now.
I mean, we've got. I don't remember how many I said. We have 31 city cell phones. Can't we allocate one of those to make long distance phone calls for each of these buildings?
And that would be free.
Yeah.
Are they all taken? Are all the cell phones used right now except for like city admin because we don't have one?
I didn't
That's
count.
really the question.
That's $600 a month we can save.
Yeah, we have,
Positions.
and just to let y'all know, Rob did hire two, one for the street, one for the water. So we do have two positions filled. Eddie's setting up an interview for code compliance to hire. But we have, I think you have two vacant ones, right, left on the phones?
That he'll need for his employees.
So I guess this goes back to a question: can we just subsidize some of these folks' cell phones, pay half or give them $30 a month for their personal cell phone bill, and
That would be, and I can find out, Josh, that would be a Tom question
okay, yeah, because I mean, I know some states
on the legality. But yeah, we can definitely
Yeah.
find that out.
our payment if we could do something like that to reduce this. But so you're saying all 11 of those hotspots are being used?
Well, we have, y'all have two. Animal control has one. Wastewater plant has one. Police department has. Alma uses one because she has court here, and the comm Zoom doesn't work that great here, so she uses the hotspot. So we can get you a list of everyone that has a hotspot.
What I'd like to do is cut one or two of these hotspots and turn them into a cell phone, so that we can cut this long distance bill. Because yeah, $600 plus a month, that would make sense. We have an iPad on service as well. Are we using that?
That's this iPad right there. That's live streaming.
We can't run that. We have Wi-Fi here. We can't stream that from Wi-Fi.
What?
We can't stream that from Wi-Fi.
It's recording.
I know. Wi-Fi
What are you going to
connection
record
to
it
the
with
internet.
if you don't have an iPad?
Just pay for an iPad and not the service. Unless we get that iPad for free with the service. In which case, maybe it's just cheaper to do that.
Yeah, and then the police department has, they have an iPad as well.
Instead, yeah.
And then y'all's tablets, but I mean, we don't pay anything for their tablets. We don't pay anything for y'all's tablets.
No.
No, because y'all log into the,
Yeah.
like, y'all are, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, my request here is just that we cut some of these hot spots and make sure Alma gets a cell phone to make these long distance calls so we can cut long distance.
Josh, may I make a suggestion? If you would put that on document form and then submit it to them, and so that way they can see your request, and possibly we can see it as well. So that way we can see what, visually on paper, what you're asking for and how we can reduce that.
Or they can just
I just
report back
forwarded
to
it
us
to you.
once they do it.
Just a copy so that way we can see what you're requesting. Like if you want to eliminate, the 2 hotspots or.
Oh, well, I don't want to direct them what to do if it's a dumb idea. Just because I see the bill doesn't mean my ideas are good.
Well, that way we can look at.
I need them to.
Yep.
Well, I mean, we can look all we want. I mean, it's just like people bringing the cars out here. We're not freaking mechanics. I need them to inform us what is reasonable to cut, or if my request is just completely unreasonable.
What do you want us to do on the faxes when we have to, there are certain companies that it's easier for us to scan and email, but there's some that do want it faxed.
Right.
So, I mean, that's,
Can we cut down this fax machine? How much the fax machines cost? I'm not seeing that in the bills. Is that $750?
we have one on our side, and the police department has one, and the library has one.
Right. How much they cost?
They're not that expensive, the fax machines anymore.
Pays for the actual phone.
It's in there.
Yeah, you're just paying for the, yes,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah.
I'm not super worried about that
But it's part of the
then.
long distance.
That's one of those things I'd like to.
But that's part of the long distance as well.
When you fax long distance.
Yeah.
They can't fax long distance then.
Huh?
Tell them they can't fax long distance. There are
That's
online services that'll fax for you as well. So you can scan it.
So you have like the utility department. Let's say somebody's moving from out of state and they're wanting, they're needing some stuff. So the ladies will, and they're like, you know what, don't, because I mean, they try to do by the scanning and emailing. That's just easier. But you have some that say, you know what, I need you to fax it to me. Let me give you a fax number. So you don't want them doing that?
Or how much would it cost you to do it if I don't have the service? And if we're doing this like maybe once a month and it's a $30 fee, you're still cutting the bill by $500 some.
So you're saying to keep the fax but don't pay for the service?
Get rid of the long distance service. If we need to send a fax, leverage a service online, or just pay the $30 fee for that single fax.
I understand what he's saying now. I finally got it. Okay, so the company I work for, we don't even have fax machines anymore. Everything is digital. It's called Right Fax. Okay, I don't know who owns it or whatever.
What is it called?
Right Fax, like right hand fax.
Okay.
And you would send, you got your document, you're gonna fax it to Joe Blow in Austin, and you fill out the little cover sheet and you attach it and you send it. But I do not know how much that service costs. It could very well be more than our long distance
So,
bill.
E-fax.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Uh-huh.
E-fax is
E-fax, it's like-
$17 a month, and that's up to 150 pages of incoming and 150 pages of outbound.
No matter what phone numbers,
No.
is the question. I see what you're saying. I
I
get what
just want to investigate one of those cheaper things. If we can save $650 a month, that's a decent chunk out of.
and it doesn't charge you the long distance fee. That's what I'm asking you.
I literally just looked it up as you were speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had that already set up.
Nope, just coming up with things here as I.
So, yeah. So we can check on on that one that you said and the one you said, the e-fax.
Okay.
They have the same kind of service, I think.
I'm sure that
Yeah,
there's multiple.
they're very similar. But I do not know. I mean, like the library faxes for the public, they'd have to scan it, save it, and send it, and then delete it because it's personal people's stuff.
Yep.
Just saying.
Many times you have to put it on a drive. So
Sometimes,
you put it on
yes.
a drive and
Mhm.
then they connect it to the
Yeah.
fax machine and then it's sent as that way.
Then you're possibly asking for a security breach.
Right. You don't want to be putting people's stuff in your own.
The library does, I mean, they try to scan everything, but there's some customers that, I mean, they rather do the fax.
I mean, someone's coming to the library, they're requesting a service. They could probably pay for that service.
Well, it depends on how much you're going to charge them.
It doesn't make sense for us to offer that service.
It's a public service that we've had for a long time.
Just because we've
You
always
wanna
done it
cut
doesn't
it?
make it. Yes.
I don't.
It would be feasible to look at the options available.
Yeah, I'm willing to do that, but I'm not willing to cut the service for our public. A lot of people, I don't have a fax machine at home. I mean, if I need to fax something,
It's
I
fiscally
would come down
irresponsible
here
to
and
offer
do it.
a service, such a niche service, at we're penalizing all the other taxpayers for something like that.
The library
Anyway.
does charge a fee for faxing.
Right, I'm positive they're not pulling in $650 worth a month in revenue for it, though.
But long distance bill is not $650 every month. You just got one that was $650.
Well, that's the only one I have available to me, so that is my basis.
Dora, maybe you can get with James and maybe he can kind of lead us maybe for some changes, more modern changes, you know, just to have some information from him. I'm sure he'll be willing to help.
Yeah. So, Josh, so you're saying to cut some of the hot spots to be able to get a phone so the court can use?
Yep.
Fred, did you have a question? I'm gonna make you get up though, because they get.
AT&T is providing the services.
Everything.
Yeah.
That's all we can get what we are, you know. But what we did about 6 months ago was we just called them up and said, hey, your cost has exceeded our budget. We need you to analyze what we're using, what we need, and show us with your technology what.
And we've done that.
And it didn't help.
No, we've done that in the past and we can call because our account is a government account. So when you call, you're gonna, I mean, I don't know if y'all called AT&T and you're gonna get somebody, but I mean, we can do that. Because we have to find, because our rep is never stays the same. So we can call, but we have to talk to the person that's over our account because it's a government account. But we can call and see how they can help us, you know, to decrease the cost.
I think, yeah, we need someone to call and play hardball, and we're going to move unless you can show us some meaningful adjustments here.
So having, you have all these things that you're concerned about on the AT&T budget.
Yep.
So, and you seem to be the only one that has the question.
Just because I requested them, and so I've been looking over them for a few days.
Wouldn't it be then more efficient, you make your list of concerns in writing, get it to Dora, let Dora get it to AT&T, and let someone from AT&T answer all the questions? And that way you guys are not just sitting here hashing out what might or might not be.
I guess I was trying to bring it up here for the not the necessarily efficiency, but for the essence of transparency.
But it would still be transparent if you made a list of all of these great ideas in writing.
I'm the GFI.
And then get the AT&T rep to answer all the questions. And that way, they might have solutions, and it might be faster.
You might actually have a program, even for government, that it's a package, right? That you get this many cell phones and hotspots for like whatever. You know.
Now, the question, you're giving them to Dora. Dora's going to have to go find the answers. And all of this is happening with everybody's time.
Yeah, but I didn't know about it, so I
Right,
like
but
it.
you could still present all that in writing, share it with everybody, get it to the city, then the
I
answer is
cannot share with
that.
everybody outside this meeting.
We can only share here.
Y'all have computers, you
I-
can share,
We have to share here.
they can't leave here.
Well, after it's done here, it can leave here, but it has to be done here first.
I don't know where y'all find the time to do both.
I promise you, there are other things I need to be doing.
I don't know where they find the time, and so my thinking is, if you're, I don't know what you're spending with AT&T, but if you could make a list of the concerns, or just call them up and say, hey, this doesn't work for us anymore, we're gonna have to make a big change. Come bring suggestions on how you can do everything we need to do, and say, this we accomplish.
I like that.
And get them to do it. I mean, they're the ones that are carrying all the money. If they want to continue to do it, ask them to meet you somewhere. You know, we have budgeted this. How are we going to get what we need for this? And I don't know, is there any other service besides AT&T? I don't think we were able to find one here. I think they're the only ones that have a fiber optic infrastructure.
We have ComZoom around here for internet, but we have a lot of bundling here with AT&T, and I'm betting you that we're going to be stuck with them because of we have a SCADA network for some of our infrastructure, and so there's a lot of security that they automatically wrap in with that. That costs a significant amount of money, but that takes a lot of liability off our hands as a city. So
There might not be any savings.
we're stuck with some of that.
Make a list of all of the ideas that you have, and then get it to the AT&T rep that handles this account, because I'm sure it's very sizable.
It's like $100,000 a year.
What is the AT&T bill for the city a year?
109, I think. I think it's 109,000.
Yeah.
It's big.
It actually might be closer to 200 because some of the phone is wrapped in with the IT stuff, so it's over 100,000. Significant.
Well, that would be a great place to have somebody, if somebody is getting that much revenue from the city, certainly they're willing to analyze the services they're providing and perhaps deliver some options. You know, if you just tell them you're at the end of your rope, you got to figure out how to do this for less, they might come up with some ideas.
Valid feedback. You okay with that, Dora? Okay.
We can find out, because I know the reps change.
Of course.
Yeah.
And be sure you present all those ideas in writing.
Well, I don't necessarily have ideas. That's why a lot of these are legitimate questions. I mean, some of my ideas are just stupid because there are a lot of things that behind it.
There is no stupid idea.
Well, my point is, just because I think it's a problem doesn't mean it really is. There are legitimate reasons for some of these
Well, but it
things.
could be, but Josh, it does bring up a valid point in that, you know, if we're looking at line items and if we can reduce the cost to our taxpayers on, you
That's
know,
my goal.
and just negotiate and renegotiate, you know, we need to make that possible for all the expenditures that we're making. And so that will bring us more revenue back into the budget, into our budget, and keep us in the black. So if a well does go down, or if we do have another emergency, particularly for water and sewage and trash, then, you know, those funds can be applied to that immediately once we have a meeting. And then if everyone approves on that, we can go ahead and structure that and get that funding to where it needs to be. So if we can do line item on several programs that we're looking at and see where the cost is going and how we can bring that money back if possible.
So Josh, if you get me a list, I'll get with James and we'll call AT&T. And we can see what they can do as a government account.
Everybody on the council has something that's important to them that they can work on and their questions. And that way all of that can be discussed and the answers can be delivered and perhaps you can save us some time.
Point taken. Sounds like Fred has some stuff to do before dark.
And I know y'all do too.
Siempre.
I just want to give them kudos for cutting, every department cutting and making their wish lists shorter so that we're going to be in the black this year. I'm thrilled beyond and beyond. If you can save more money in the phone bill, that's fabulous. But the budget she sent us today, or whatever day it was, I'm thrilled with this. I think it's the first budget I have liked since I've been on council. It could be the first one.
Well, we're not to the point of voting on it yet, so.
I know, but I'm thrilled with it. I'm just happy.
Well, that wish list, you know, it's what we'd love to have are the necessities. And
It's a wish list.
Yeah, you know, so.
Right. I mean, there's still a few little things in here they got that's good though. I mean, we're still able to do some, just not like the world.
I do have one question. How did the salary increases, how were they calculated? Was there a comparative analysis? And who did the increase?
The council said anything over less than 50,001 was going to be 6%, and anybody over the 50,001 would be the 4. Yeah, that came from y'all.
And that is what is placed in here? The increase of 4% for 50 and above, and 50 or...
And 6% for anybody lower than that, yes.
Well, if there's nothing else then I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the budget workshop, and then we'll just need a motion to adjourn the meeting altogether.
I'd like to make one recommendation though, is if we can get line items, just like on the AT&T, because if we don't have that in front of us, it's hard to make an informed decision. So not only just AT&T, but anything that we're looking at, so that way council can possibly find something where we can also bring back money to the budget instead of taking out of or increasing the salary for our employees. And the more money that we have in the black, we can also offer it to our employees, later. I know we have a longevity, but again, we have retention packages, so forth and so on as well. And so hopefully we can use that to keep our people and keep them working and have them have sufficient income to, make a living.
My rebuttal to that was be specific when you request what things you want the receipts for, because they sent me a lot just for telephone and the IT ones. There's a lot of stuff to go through in there, so just to make sure you get what you're asking for, just be, hey, I want the receipts for this line item. If asking for everything, I don't know if that's reasonable.
Yeah, I don't know if they could handle that. I meant the line, like,
Right.
it might blow up.
It's a lot. I mean, we really need QuickBooks, something like that. But.
Well noted, thank you. I will definitely
I'm
be
sorry.
specific.
Before we cut out here, can we look at the time?
Did we get you, we sent you what you were...
Yeah. Oh no, that was great. It doesn't really define the service as well, but it's a James conversation. And I mean, if we just get him on the scent of, hey, get with AT&T and see what we can combine and cut out here, I think that gets after it. For the time clock, can we see if there's ADP or another company that gives us a better option? Because the time clock, I assume it's for everyone's hours, checking in and checking out. It was like $11,000 on one of the line items. I'm looking at me crazy.
The time clock, 24,000 for the renewal for every year.
Okay, maybe I misread.
Yeah, and the time clock, that's like it's on the computer, like for animal control, the wastewater plant. Rob, at the well yard, they have it, but they also have a time clock.
The mechanic shop is on the computer.
Yeah, and the mechanic shop is on the computer, but at City Hall and at the well yard, they do have where you swipe the card.
Okay.
And it's
Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
biometric at the district,
Yeah.
and so that's how they, do clocking.
Yeah, but what we did is we put it on the computer so that we're not having like animal control. Have to come to the police department, clock in, and then get delayed there and not go to the kennel, so we put it on there. Same thing for the wastewater, so they didn't have to go to the well yard every morning. They can log in.
I'm not a fuss. I must have misread. That's my bad then.
All right, motion
I'll
to
make the
adjourn.
motion.
All right, thank you.
I'll second.
In a second, all in favor?
Yeah.
Anyone against? Motion passes. Thank you all for coming out this evening.